Good morning, Kaylen.
Good morning, Jess. How are you?
I'm good. It is hot out there today too. I think 95 degrees or something and like 100% humidity,
Yeah.
which is 100% glad that I have air conditioning. Like if there's a first world problem, it's air conditioning. Like I don't know if I could live without it.
I couldn't either. Ours was
Yeah.
struggling yesterday.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just struggling to keep up with everything.
Yep.
Oh, maybe you need a new energy efficient air conditioner. Maybe that's what you need. Which is a perfect lead into what we're doing here today. So we have our friend Matt here with us on the podcast. So welcome, Matt.
Hello.
Yeah. So Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself and why we say like you're probably one of the experts in like energy efficient air conditioning.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to join the conversation and yeah, related to energy efficient air conditioning and why I might know something about that. My name is Matt Hein. I'm the Energy Services Manager for Cedar Falls Utilities, which means I work with anything related to the customer side of utility meters. So air conditioning, furnaces, if you're interested in solar, LED lighting, whether it's residential, commercial, or industrial. My background is in engineering. I'm a professional mechanical engineer here in the state of Iowa and have spent, we'll call it a couple of decades going around doing energy audits for the biggest and smallest of the buildings, the simplest and most complicated of the issues. So got a decent sense of what's worth spending money on and what maybe you can set off to the side in terms of energy efficiency.
Love it because so much of that is like the rage right now is everything's energy efficient. But like you said, like some things may not just be worth it or may not be worth it to you as a consumer to purchase when you're spending that extra money on it. It might not be worth it in the long run too. So tell us a little bit like what does like a home energy audit kind of look like? How does that work?
Absolutely. So there's actually three different levels of energy audit defined by an organization called ASHRAE. And they range from a simple walkthrough level one energy audit, which is typically done for homeowners, all the way up to a like literally take it to a bank as an investment decision for commercial customers. So that's your level one, two, and three. For a typical homeowner, an energy auditor, an energy assessor is going to enter the home and look at anything that uses electricity or natural gas to try and save on your utility bill. So those will be things that get plugged into the wall or have a gas pipe running to them. If we're on the gas side of things, they'll want to be in the mechanical room typically first. For me, I either start in the attic looking at insulation or down in the mechanical room. Here in Iowa, typically our mechanical rooms are located in the basement, and that's where all the interesting stuff is for us, the energy assessor. Wherever a homeowner typically doesn't go, that's where we like to go. Making sure there's adequate insulation there, looking at the furnace, air conditioner, and water heater. They tend to be the largest appliances in a home. Taking a pit stop at the laundry room, seeing if high efficiency laundry equipment is being used, both the washer and the dryer, but primarily the washer. That's really where the energy savings happens. Stopping and chatting in the kitchen, taking a look at how food is prepared in the home and the dishes are washed. Again, Energy Star appliances are what we tend to look at there. And then finally, like the creature comforts of what is the thermostat set at? Is it a smart Wi-Fi thermostat with an occupancy sensor or the away mode to switch into an energy saving mode automatically? And then the thing that I didn't mention is lighting. So as an energy assessor is walking through the home and casually having a conversation, they'll be looking at all the lighting in the home to see if it's LED lighting. It's really hard to beat LED lighting in terms of efficiency. The only thing better than that would be sunlight. And on a day like today, it would actually be better to have the curtains drawn, keeping that glaring sun out of the home because it's going to heat things up, and use the LED lighting as needed to light the spaces. So that's a rough walkthrough of what an energy assessor is looking at in someone's home. But they may have done some homework ahead of time. At least since we're at the utility, we have the advantage of doing that. So we'll look at the utility bills in a lot more detail than the average customer would. So we look at an entire year, and in fact, when we can, we look at 3 years worth of utility bills to see if there are any trends, do comparisons to similar types of homes, similar types of home use. So someone who's working from home is going to have a very different energy use profile than someone who goes to the office, the kids are at school, that type of thing.
Yeah,
And
I was
then
going to ask that
answer
too. How
any
much?
questions the homeowner has.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. You know, there's so many people working from home now. That's made a huge difference too. How much have you seen? Like, what has that changed in energy bills? Like, okay, I work from home and my husband both work from home too. And I didn't really notice like a huge jump in there, but maybe I was just so used to it, or maybe we were just using a lot of electricity before that I just didn't even realize it. But how much do you typically see when people work from home?
Working from home doesn't shift the home's energy use too substantially. We'd probably be in the order of magnitude of maybe 10%. Your heating and air conditioning may be adjusted a little bit. Maybe you're making that noontime meal at home versus having it at the office, but the refrigerator still needs to keep things cold. The lights, and again, if lights are LED lighting, they use so little electricity that adding a few extra hours in the day really isn't going to make a difference. You're not going to be replacing them nearly as long because they last 10 times longer than the previous lighting technology. So in terms of energy use, yeah, maybe a 10% increase, but if we were to expand the whole home's energy use to include vehicles, all of a sudden a few more kilowatt hours on your electric utility bill is a lot less energy and a lot less cost than commuting to and from the office.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about LED bulbs too. So I'm from the generation that my dad always said, turn the lights off when you leave the room too. With these LED bulbs, do you notice a big difference of saying like, hey, you got to turn the lights off every single time you leave a room?
Okay, so this is, it's been very interesting over the years as we have transitioned through different technologies. We went from incandescent lighting, which we should somewhat be ashamed of because Thomas Edison gave those light bulbs and he was a continuous innovator, and we held on to those things for like 100 years. I feel like he would have been rolling in his grave saying, why haven't you adopted the next
Hurry up.
technology like I would have? Yeah, hurry up. Yeah, like I'm the 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb guy. So we should have a better light bulb by now. So we eventually came up with, if you can recall, the compact fluorescent lights. So using a different technology, they kind of had the pigtail curled shape to them, and then eventually made it to LED lighting technology. So we've taken a 60-watt, 100-year-old Thomas Edison incandescent light bulb and gotten it all the way down to roughly 6 to 7 watts of LED lighting. So call it 90% reduction in the amount of energy required, and it lasts roughly 10 times longer. So just a far superior lighting technology from the energy and life aspect. So does a homeowner notice and turn the lights off? I struggle with this because I'm the energy efficiency geek. I would have used occupancy sensors and all these different types of things, and it's just not cost effective to invest technology in it. But I still adhere to the environmental stewardship of, it may not be as much savings, but we can turn the lights off. So I, as a dad, still am running around telling the kids, turn the lights off. I hold to that tradition of fathers yelling at the kids to close the door, turn off the lights, don't adjust the thermostat, and all the rest.
It's ingrained in us at this age. Like, I
Yep.
feel like it's, and again, it was at Father's Day yesterday too. And so shout out to my dad, like that he made us do this too and put this off. So, you know, LED bulbs, they were running like grant programs and stuff on that to buy them at one time. Like, what's the new thing? Cause I don't ever see LED bulbs like being federally funded or being able to get refunds from local utility companies. What's like the new thing that people are trying to do?
Yeah, the reason we don't really incentivize LED lighting anymore is because they become standard. They really are a superior technology. They're the default everywhere you go to buy lighting. About the only place that I recommend or don't see people going to them as a default is in like their chandeliers, that candelabra, a little bit different type of shape, but even that comes in LED lighting now. So, and is becoming the default. So people are moving to LED lighting in that regard. In terms of what are the new things, it's not necessarily new, but people, especially in Iowa, are focused a lot more on heat pump technology. We now have a designation for cold climate heat pumps, that is heat pumps that are designed to run in our winter conditions and have higher performance during the heating season. Those are much more popular, and in terms of funding, there's a tremendous amount of funding right now for heat pumps, typically from utilities, discounts from manufacturers, and the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA funding that comes from the federal government, has a tremendous amount of money for heat pumps. Any homeowner can get a minimum of $2,000 off on taxes by purchasing an air source heat pump. If you go to the much more expensive, but also much more efficient ground source heat pump technology, the federal government will give you 30% of the installation cost for that. So that can be quite substantial. And then if you are a lower income homeowner, you may qualify for up to $8,000 for an air source heat pump. And they're still working out the kinks of it. So they announced the program quite a while ago, but still haven't figured out how to actually run the program. So hopefully next year we'll see that program rolling out to try and get this not new technology, but a technology that people are starting to adopt for their homes. Here in Cedar Falls, we encourage air source heat pumps as an option for upgrading your air conditioning unit and then supplement becoming the primary heating unit while keeping the natural gas furnace as the backup heat source. So that way you don't have to choose, do I want a source heat pump to do my heating or my natural gas furnace? You can actually have both of those in a dual fuel system. You get the environmental benefits, having reliable natural gas there in the coldest days of the year. We think it's just a really great system. So that's what we've been promoting recently.
There you go, Kaylen. When you upgrade that air conditioning and furnace,
Heat
you know what
pump.
to go to. Heat pump now. Love it. So when you do these energy audits, are these recommendations that you make too? Like if you see somebody's furnace or air conditioner is getting a little lower, do you say, hey, this is an incentivized program, or hey, you should look at this? Is that kind of what you do when you do this energy audit?
Certainly. So all the different equipment categories that I've been talking about, lighting, water heating, heating the spaces in the home, air conditioning, as you go through it as an energy assessor, you're looking for opportunities to, well, use the fundamentals of energy efficiency in each of those categories. And those fundamentals are, one, if you can, turn it off, just like our fathers for Father's Day are talking about. And then the next would be if it has controls that you allow you to turn it down. So turn off the lights, turn down the thermostat during the winter. And then after that would be if the equipment is older and there's an opportunity for replacement, we want to make it more efficient with a new high efficiency piece of equipment. Once all of those are done, your home is really ready for renewable energy. Something like solar, primarily solar is what we would probably recommend. Residential wind energy is really difficult to make work from a financial standpoint. So we tend to see solar photovoltaic or solar PV be the most common choice for homeowners.
Yeah, so, solar is the rage right now too. And so what are some things that homeowners need to think about when they're thinking about investing in solar? Is there some specific questions they should ask? Is there some specific like financial things that they should look at? What's like some typical things that they need to go through?
I would say start by fundamentally recognizing that if you don't already have something that is producing power, if you're just hooked up to the utility, it's worth recognizing that you're hooked up to a 99.999% reliable source of electricity that you don't have to maintain. You just have to pay your bill once a month, and you've got an entire team of people taking care of all of the details. If you want to have your own solar, recognize that you're effectively putting a power plant either in your yard or up on your roof. It doesn't have any moving pieces, but it does have pieces. Inverters or micro inverters, it's going to need an electrical upgrade, those types of things. So it's physical equipment that has to be maintained. So that's one of the things that we like to emphasize. We're proponents, fans of solar, but also making the homeowner aware that you now own this equipment. This is not the utilities equipment. You're in charge of maintaining it. So if there's a problem, it's your problem. That would be kind of the number one, recognizing the commitment as a homeowner that you're making. The second would be get multiple quotes. We're a fan of at least 3 quotes from local contractors, and we emphasize local because there is a lot of advertising online for free solar or no cost solar. These are telemarketing agencies that are just trying to do lead generation, and they tend to be from far-flung places, not local to your environment. It is guaranteed that it will be more expensive going with them than going with your local contractor, simply because they're going to put an adder on providing that lead to whatever local contractor actually does the installation. This is something that has to be installed. It's physical equipment. It can't be done remotely. So a local contractor with experience is really the way to go. And then getting multiple quotes. Those quotes have historically, and I would expect it to stay that way, been free estimates of how much it can produce, what the cost will be, and what that return on investment will look like before and after any incentives. That would kind of be your steps 1, 2, and 3. And then here in Cedar Falls, CFU, as the utility, will provide a free technical review. So before making a commitment to actually install the equipment, we encourage our customers to contact us, send those proposals over. We do not say this is a good price, this is a good contractor, anything like that. What we review are the assumptions. Does the utility rate, the savings that they say you're going to get, align with what we would expect them to be? We have a lot of solar systems in our community. We know what things will actually look like. And if the proposal is way off, we want to make our customers aware. As a general rule of thumb, in our region, a 10 to 15 year payback is fairly typical for residential solar systems. So we tell people to keep those things in mind. And with a real estate podcast, making people aware. Is it people move every, was it 5 to
5 to
7
7
years
years.
or so?
Yep.
Yeah, so we put those two numbers out there. This has a 10 to 15 year payback, and odds are you're going to move in 5 to 7 years. So just keeping those two numbers in mind. Our community has access to a community solar program called Simple Solar. So they don't have to worry about the stress of installing it, maintaining it, doing anything like that. They can simply contact us in the fall and enroll and have a fraction of the community solar system that we have in town. And then if they decide to move, if they move within the community, those units move with them. They stay with the utility bill. We don't obviously move the whole solar farm. And then if they move off of our system, we just automatically purchase them back. So it's meant to be a very simple program. And many other utilities offer something like that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point too. You know, we just had a seller call and they moved and they put solar in on some clay tiles. We'll even put it at that. They put it on clay tiles, which are hard to begin with it as well. That solar array cost them about $30,000, and they're moving 2 years later, and they leased it on top of that. And so again, adding those costs into your sale, or figuring out what needs to happen with that lease, or if the buyer does not want them but still wants the house, okay, what does that look like too? There's so many questions that goes on where investing in your local solar is way easier, way more simple for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think again,
I
more
have
places
told our
that
marketing team that,
yeah.
I was just going to say, Jess, I have told our marketing team they named our system well. The Simple Solar, we really do make it easy for customers to participate in solar. They can ride their bikes right on the bike trail, right up to the system. We don't have them named, like nobody's name is etched in the solar panels out in the field. But if a customer wants, they could say, okay, I'm going to call that one there. That one's my solar panel.
It's
And that
like
would be
naming the
just
stars,
fine.
you know, where you get to buy a star up in the sky and you're like, I bet 5 people own that exact same star and nobody really knows about it too.
Exactly right. We've got thousands of panels. So our Simple Solar customers in town can say, that one's mine right over there.
Yeah. Now tell me a little bit too, you know, with the solar panels and your huge solar array that you have out there too, do you have wildflowers out there, bees, stuff like that? Cause I know that's kind of a rage too, is with those solar panels, they start to make habitats for other things too. What happens over there at CFU?
So ours was one of the first in Iowa and one of the largest at the time. Other utilities have since started doing installations. So now ours is no longer the largest. And people are doing more of those headline catching things, the planting pollinating flowers and putting beehives in the corner. Fundamentally, we treat it like a utility asset. And so the idea of having hornets or bees nests or anything like that is less attractive to utility workers.
I
And
bet.
since we're the ones maintaining these things, we did not opt to do that. Now, I will say we are planning on doing additional solar projects, and we are working with the local Prairie Grass Research Center to identify different grasses and natural items that keep us from having to do any mowing of the area. Right now, our current field, I believe we have to mow it once or twice during the year, but that's really about all the maintenance that's required.
Got it. So, you know, solar is the big thing right now. Is there something in the future that people are kind of talking about that maybe
We don't know
gets
about
you
yet.
excited or should get homeowners excited? Is there something that's kind of like lingering out there?
So you will find that nationally there is a big push, really a need that stems from an initiative from the 1970s, trying to get Americans to understand that electricity has two components. It has the energy component, how much you use, and it has the power component, how much you need to use right now. And so a lot of utilities are starting to divide utility bills into the energy and the power component so that we can, it's how we as a utility industry provide electricity to the homeowner. We've just simplified that on the utility bills for decades as just an energy charge. And we're working on separating that. It's something that we've done for decades for commercial and industrial customers, breaking it into energy and power. We're likely to be doing the same thing in the future for all customers, to break things into energy and power. That'll open up a really interesting opportunity for homeowners to reduce their utility bill by reducing their need for power. So again, power is the energy you need right now. If you need a lot of power, it's more expensive for the utility to provide that right now. So we have to upgrade all of our lines, our transformers, your breaker panel, everything needs to be upgraded for high power use. But if you work within your home to have lower power using technologies, energy efficient equipment, and then moving into like battery or thermal storage, all of a sudden you can have a lower power consuming piece of equipment, which reduces your utility cost and gives you a little bit of backup opportunity. So I think we're likely to see things like smart panels in homes. So where your breakers are located, those will start to get smart and be able to either adjust themselves automatically in the same way that a Wi-Fi thermostat can adjust itself automatically. Or we'll see people installing backup battery systems that not only provide backup power in a rare emergency, but also help lower their utility bill by shaving off that peak power. It's going to get hot this afternoon here. It would be something where the battery might turn on for 4 hours during the hottest part of the year to provide for the air conditioner. And that would, in the future, keep the utility bill lower. And then at night, as things cool off, the battery fills up and gets ready for the next day.
Right.
That type of thing, I suspect, is in our future.
Are you seeing that a lot with like EV cars and stuff too? People having to charge them at night instead of during the day, so not pulling all that power. Is that kind of like an example maybe of how this works?
That's a perfect example of what we're doing now. So EV chargers, homeowners that have elected to get a fully electric vehicle and then install a level 2 charger in their home, especially if they're driving quite a lot, will realize that instead of having a home with a garage attached, their utility bill makes it feel like they have a garage with an EV in it, and then the house is attached to that, that their electric utility bill increases substantially. Now their gas bill decreases substantially, so it's still a really great move, but they can definitely feel it. And that's because electric vehicles with those bigger chargers need a lot of power. And so as a utility, using today as an example, it's going to get hot in the afternoon. We're going to have really high demand for power. Everyone is working and making meals and air conditioning in the home, all of those types of things. And then in the evening, as all of that power consumption goes down, we'll have excess capacity. That's a perfect time to charge up a battery. Right now, those batteries are in electric vehicles. And so we run an off-peak charging program to encourage customers to do exactly that.
And one of the other things that I heard about EV chargers in homes too is to make sure to include your utility, because sometimes that the transmission of, like, again, I'm probably going to use the wrong words here, but like your transmission lines, if 5 people in a row all have EV chargers, some of those transmission lines aren't built up to be able to support all that at once too. Is that correct? Or did I just completely make that up? And you can totally say, Jess, you made that up.
Jess, you nailed it. That's exactly right. So it's not a great idea to try and hide things from utility companies. We're here simply to provide what homeowners need in a safe and reliable way. So tell us about projects you're thinking about doing, and we'll help you do it in a safe, reliable, and cost-effective way. If you're going to make it a DIY project, even just talking to us about how you plan on doing it can save a lot of headache in the future. Because as you said, we monitor our systems and make sure that they're sized appropriately. And some people just, it's hard to comprehend just how much of an increase in power electric vehicles have for the average home. The average home may see a spike of, we'll call it 5 kilowatts, to put a number on it. Well, an individual standard-sized electric vehicle charger for a home is 7 kilowatts by itself. So if you run that and your home is running at its peak at the same time, now you've more than doubled the load on the utility system. So anytime you're going to do that, it's going to put some strain on the system. We design our system to handle that strain, but as you said, we tend to see organic spread of electric vehicles. If your neighbor pulls up with a Tesla in their driveway, the odds of you going to the Tesla dealership and taking a look at it go dramatically up. So we monitor neighborhoods that have electric vehicles just to make sure we're delivering that reliable power and upgrade as needed.
So moral of the story, communication is key right there too. Don't do anything without approval, or at least talk to people about it too.
Absolutely. And if you do it on the front end, you'll have a full sense of the cost implications.
Yes.
If you wait until you've already done it and say, look what I did, we may have an unfortunate conversation about costs that you didn't realize you would have.
Yeah. And nobody likes that. When you're spending people's money like for them because they've done something like that, no one likes that whatsoever too. Yeah. Now tell me a little bit about if somebody wanted to have a home energy audit. I know there in CFU, you guys have a really simple program that they just kind of have to contact you. But if you're maybe in one of these rural areas, is there ways to do that? Or can you just contact any utility and kind of get one of these home energy audits set up?
Generally speaking, the first person I would contact would be the utility company. They either tend to have someone on staff that can help out, or they know who the local energy assessors would be. And again, an opportunity through the IRA federal funding is, I believe it's $150 towards hiring an energy assessor to come in and do an energy audit for you. So in my experience, that wouldn't cover the entire cost of an energy efficiency consultant, but it can certainly help. Talking to your utility would definitely be the first step. And as I was walking through the process of doing an energy assessment, they're going to want to talk to your utility anyway, just to get an understanding of what your current energy use looks like. So you're just helping them connect the dots.
Got it. Yeah. And I think it's, especially if you're going to build a home, of course, then they get involved at the very beginning, or whether you're going to buy a home and, maybe you notice that your utility bill is up a little bit from where maybe I always like to say, like, sometimes people move into bigger houses, but their utility bills are lower because they've had that energy efficient thing. So if you're moving again, to get that audit, to know kind of what to look for would be huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love it. Well, Matt, I think Kayla and I have probably learned quite a bit today too, about utilities, energy audits, what to look for, what to save for too. Is there anything else you'd like to just kind of tell everybody before we kind of head out here?
I think the thing I would share, Jess, probably one of my favorite things that I can help a homeowner with in doing an energy assessment is when a salesperson has come through the neighborhood and is making really large energy savings claims. This will save you 50% on the energy, 70% on the energy. and the thing that they're selling is really expensive. That's a great opportunity to talk to someone who knows a little bit more about energy savings than the average homeowner to say, is this true? The example I typically give is windows. Windows can have very high percent savings in terms of the energy, but that's just talking about the window. And if you think about the average home, a window is a fairly small portion of the average home. So saving a large percentage of a small thing is a small dollar savings, and keeping that in mind. Now, if you're looking to replace your windows anyway, by all means, please do the energy efficient option. But if you're hoping to dramatically reduce your utility bill, usually it's the things that are hidden in the attic insulation, in the mechanical room, the furnace and the air conditioner, in the ceiling, all of that lighting, switching it to LED. It generally tends to not be the more cosmetically pleasing things. Those we do for other reasons and get the energy efficiency as a bonus.
Love it. I think that's great advice right there for sure too. And my mom always said, you know, anything that seems like a scam probably is a scam, or you need to think about it twice before doing it. Don't just jump into it. And so I think that's a perfect option of that too. So we always like to end our podcast with one random question, again, that has nothing to do with anything. So this is just coming out of nowhere. Matt, what's your most used phone app? What's the app that you use the most, just randomly?
Most used phone app. So probably I use Todoist the most. And it is a to-do list that syncs across all devices. My wife and I are very busy people. Our kids are quite busy, and so we use that to sync various tasks and move them around. And then a calendar. Todoist would probably be second. Honestly, the calendar. Our calendars are ridiculous. Yeah, that would be the most used app.
Yeah, I always say if it's not on my calendar, I'm not doing it. And so even my to-do list, I will put to-do list things on my calendar. So I block time off to do it too. So I feel you there. You know, so many people are like, Facebook, TikTok. I'm like, nope, if you got rid of my calendar, like I'm doing nothing for the rest of it. So I feel you 100% in there too.
I feel I've had dreams of what it would be like if I lost access to my calendar. And I think it would be some euphoric bliss of, oh, there's nothing to do. Like nothing exists. I can, whatever I want. But instead, I've got the 15-minute reminder blinking at me right now. So
yep. Well, good. Well, we'll wrap this up too. But thank you, Matt, so much for coming on here too and kind of explaining all of this stuff. Again, I think this is huge for anyone, anybody in the real estate profession or anybody that's just a homeowner that needs to hear this. So again, fantastic. And we just appreciate you being here for sure.
I really appreciate the invite and wish you all the best. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Bye.